Hey everyone, how's it going? Today I saw episode 8 of WandaVision and I thought I'd pop on here and talk about it. By the way, this is like a new filming location because this is just much easier for me. So let's talk about it. So basically, okay. Also, spoiler warning for the most part. I'll tell you when it gets spoiler heavy because I'm gonna just do a quick recap of it without giving you any spoilers. Basically, this episode was great in the way. Now we are getting to the of the show, like the third and final act, where we really are getting full MCU. This episode is an MCU episode, especially when you compare it to like episodes 1, 2, maybe 3, but especially 1, a little bit 2. We were getting sitcom episodes because they were introducing us to the sitcom. And they gave us little teases at the ends, and that's what we were getting. This is very much an MCU, like a half an hour of an MCU movie. It is very well constructed. Very cinematic, very cinematic. And what else can I say about this episode? Character development, huge. That's it. But that's all I can say without giving any spoilers. But now let's jump into the episode and some of the biggest moments and highlights from it. So, starting off at the beginning, we got a little bit of a flashback. And I watched these episodes with my brother. And what he mentioned was that the flashback that we get, well, it's basically it's giving a take on the Salem witch trials in the MCU, where Agatha, as of her past in the comics as well, was part of the Salem witch trials. In this case, she was being questioned by other witches who apparently maybe she was a part of, and she was using her magic for bad. So they used magic to chain her up. They were all around her in a circle. She was tied to something where maybe she would be usually burned at the stake. Maybe they're going to use magic against her at this point and just using the stake for something to bind her against so they could all see her. Anyways, but it was kind of set up like she was going to be burned at the stake, which was a nice nod. But she was going to be killed, but then when they started using their magic against her or for the bad reason, because she was a bad witch, Agatha, she started siphoning their powers a little bit. I think it was siphoning. Anyways, and also like used her purple magic against them, which is maybe the color of like the dark or evil magic, and killed them all. Mom was not actually using magic against her until she needed to step in, and then she killed her mom too. She took the brooch and flew away. But some significance to this scene. We know that there were other witches as well. She killed them. Maybe she is looking for domination. Maybe. I'm not sure. But what else? Agatha, and there also had some sort of sense of like bond, family. Like the mom was connected to Agatha. Both of them were witches, and the mom seemed to be connected to the other witches surrounding Agatha a lot. And it seemed like they had a bond at first until she went the wrong way. Next, and also, aside from like the Celestial talk in Guardians 2 and the invasion of Thor on Earth in the first Thor, like the Frost Giants on Earth, this is one of the earliest points in the MCU. This is like 1600s. Next, I think we get flashback from the flashback to modern times, and we are in her basement, and Agatha is explaining magic to her in a way where like we don't know that this is how she does magic until now, but she explains those things that people thought were devil symbols. Agatha, and she's like explaining these hexes, like spells. How did you do it? This is like, it took me so long for me to learn this. How did you do it? And she wants to know. And Wanda's literally like, I don't know. And Agatha knows. We know this is just because she's been repressing a lot of this. And this, I hope I said spoiler alert. We're talking about spoilers now. Is very much, as well as like the other past ones. This episode 4 and last episode 7, helped us with information. So did like episode 6, I think. But this is almost like episode 4 in a way, where this is almost like a catch up because flashbacks. But she's like, how did you do it? How do you do it? She repressed it. But we also see some nice dynamics. I didn't say this in the beginning where it's spoiler free, but Catherine Hahn, I've been saying this again and again and again. Such a great actress. Such a great actress. Especially like in the nosy neighbor type. She kind of fit into like a little bit of a typecast, especially with, like her character in Parks and Rec. I love Parks and Rec, but it fit into the character with Parks and Rec. And like, darn it, she has like nosy neighbor typecast. No, well, she was Doc Ock, but this is like a different kind of like villain as well. And Catherine Hahn is great at portraying this villain, this special villain, especially with her. She has to do more facial features in this one compared to like Into the Spider-Verse. But then she like plucks a strand of hair like Strange did with Thor. And one of the movies. Well, I think it was Ragnarok. Anyways, and go into the flashback door. She does these flashback door kind of things. And first we see Wanda and her family doing like this TV night. And it's nice that we get to like build out this part of the MCU. And in phase 2, this probably never would have ever been in concept. Similarly for phase 3. But Jack Schaefer, Matt Shackman, these people, they're able to do more things here and explore this. And of course, Kevin Feige's involved in this. This is all approved, but it's neat because the stuff that happened that they showed in like phase 2, whatever, never was in concept. Anyways, so TV night with the Maximoffs, and confirmed we see her parents. Magneto really is not her dad unless they were adopted, which would make sense. But there are theories about that I can explain in the theory episode my theory video I'm going to do soon, and release later in the week before the next one, before the finale. But, and, you know, Pietro's there, Wanda's there, and it's very cute. We see the box of DVDs they have. The Dick Van Dyke one was her favorite, which makes sense why that one was most like a sitcom. We see tons from the set pieces in the stuff they're watching, the Dick Van Dyke, but we also see like boxes of Bewitched. There was another one, I forget what it was. It'd be I Love Lucy, or I forget. And Malcolm in the Middle in the box, but they watch that and they do it to learn English. It's cute. And that part made me tear up, with especially seeing how much Wanda was in love with all this. Then she got taken away and the house was bombed and they couldn't do anything about it. And Wanda tries to explain something to Agatha and she understands the sitcom part of it now. And Agatha is like us in this moment where we're understanding how all this came to be because we're exploring Wanda's past. And it's a great episode. And we can see how the trauma came in. We saw tiebacks to the toaster commercial. So next, we're like, okay, but Agatha goes, okay, how do you get these powers now? So we go to Hydra. She's a volunteer for Hydra. We also saw in there she was watching one of the 70 shows. I think it was the Brady Bunch. And before that, she volunteered. Tons of people have died before this. I think we see these Hydra people again, and might have even been Strucker and List. I probably were, I just haven't seen them out in a while because, like, yeah, I rewatched some of those movies, but I just, like, that was like a few months ago before WandaVision. Anyways, she goes, and the Mind Stone is like drawn to her compared to other people. I think it wasn't, and it exploded out of the scepter. And of course, this might have happened to Pietro. Of course, we assume something similar. Maybe Wanda first, of course, because it broke out of the scepter. And it was glowing, and she saw like the Scarlet Witch, like from the comics. And I've heard people theorizing it has to do with something with the Nexus, especially since we got a commercial about that. Hopefully, we'll get some sort of integration, because what I was saying in one of the episodes, I believe, is that I hope I did. Otherwise, I tweeted this somewhere. But if the commercials do not have some sort of payoff, it's not worth it. So we saw Strucker pay off. We saw Toastmate 2000 pay off. I'm looking for payoff of the other ones. We saw Lagos pay off even, I think. Hydra Soap, maybe. Especially, yes, find your inner goddess within. She saw the Scarlet Witch, the acclaimed Scarlet Witch, that looked straight out of comics. Like, not even like with her, it almost looked like it was her face as well. But like the most Scarlet Witch you've ever seen, like even like compared to the costume one in the Halloween episode. Anyways, she gets the powers that apparently were like already inherently in her all along, which does kind of allude to the Magneto part, the mutant gene, whatever. So that's good. Hopefully I'm getting more and more concerned that we don't get a mutant reveal in a multiverse happening at next episode. But it does make sense that they're confining this to Wanda Maximoff's story here, which is good. And only 7 days until it's wrapped. Wow, time flies. But yeah, I can talk about that later. So that happens. After that, they're like, God, I think they went to Avengers compound after Ultron. Her brother just died, grieving. She was watching Malcolm in the middle. We saw all that stuff. Vision went to comfort her. It was so amazing. He delivered this great line about grief and love, where grief is just love persevering or something. And that was amazing because it really made me think about it all in a different way. And I could feel the romantic tension grow. Like this scene really furthered their romance compared to like all other scenes in the MCU. This one, like the paprikash one was cute, but that could have just been like the start of their romance in Civil War. No, that was happening for a while, we learn here, and so that was just a poorly written scene. And the one in Infinity War was nice, but it had like no build-up. This scene that we got here in Avengers Compound, amazing. Chef's kiss, because oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm just blown away. It was great. So let's talk about, and we get like that, and we get, there's like that trauma, we get her connection with Vision mainly here, I think. And then we flash forward to Vision's body. She was actually invited into Hayward's office by Hayward. She was upset. She had a car or whatever, but she wanted to see Vision's body. And honestly, she did have really great intentions. And she didn't want to resurrect him, but I've heard people saying, and I agree, Hayward was kind of egging her on, trying to revive Vision. She's like, no, I wouldn't want to revive him. But she's like, oh, but you could. He's like, I don't. She's like, I don't want to. And the body's all out. And it really is gruesome. We get this in color, and the footage that Hayward showed Sword the one day wasn't the full thing, because when Wanda flew down, this is honestly a big reveal. She didn't steal the body at all. She actually just like saw him. She said, I can't feel you. And if Hayward actually showed them this would totally change their minds and make them think Hayward would be the villain. He kind of is. We'll talk about that later. So then she leaves. But we didn't know that in episode 4, when Wanda went into his office, that you could have literally seen that stuff down that window. Anyways, so then she goes, and pretty much present day now, she drives, almost present day, we see her in the car, something is on the passenger seat. She drives to Westview, we know, and this little Easter egg I saw, maybe it was a TV shop in Westview. It said Westview, and it was like TV, and it looks like, at first I thought, oh, it's just like a pretty poor town. No, it turns out I realized this later, this is what Westview was like, and you can imagine all other towns would be like this after the blip, after everyone came back, because they were just starting to recover after half the world was gone, and we got like a little, very, very, very small glimpse of that with like the apocalyptic New York City, just that shot in Endgame, but I really would like to see that more explored, and maybe Loki or Falcon the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, something, especially Falcon the Winter Soldier. I want to see that explored, because WandaVision did a great job with that in the hospital scene, and just even the silent Westview. We saw like the people's lives before she turned it into that, what it was. And this was really a heart touching scene, where she walks into this, driving down this road, and she pulls in this driveway, and I'm thinking like, this is literally the driveway of someone else's house, and we see it's just foundation, and she opens up this envelope that was in her passenger seat. We were wondering about this, and it says like, a place where we can grow up and just get away from it all, something like that. V, and there was a heart around it, like there was on the calendar. And I saw someone point that out. I wouldn't have realized that. And said like Wanda Maximoff and the Vision, and it was really heart touching. And basically, they were gonna live there, but it had overgrown since the blip, since they both got snapped and killed by Thanos, and they couldn't live there after Scotland, which is really sad. And anyways, she just, you know what her reaction was at the end of Age of Ultron. It was that, but like times 10. She built the house. It was all black and white. The whole world was black and white. And we saw what it was like when she made it. And Vision was literally a part of her, came out of her to make this. So not puppeting it in, corpse. Good news. Just a figment of her imagination, almost worse news, until we see something later. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then I forget what, I think she just walks out of the house, comes back from a flashback, here's Billy and Tommy screaming, Agatha Harkness flying full witch mode, looks like a villain here, more than she ever has before, with them tied up, purple magic. They're screaming for their lives. They're alive! Yippee! But they're gonna die any second. So she's gotta save them. And you see Agatha still in awe in how she did this. She's like, oh my gosh, you're fucked. And, you know, she has red magic, Wanda, and we saw the thing in the Mind Stone, the Vision, and Agatha's like, all this time, since, and she didn't say this part, but this is like, since the 1600s, I thought you were a myth. Here you are, the Scarlet Witch. And boom, it ends. But, my gosh, the name reveal, it took us from 2013 to 2021, still would have been 2021, no matter what, I think, to get WandaVision. And that's like, what is that? Like, for like 7 years, 8 years, get that name reveal. Well paid off, teased out when Hayward said, does she have any like silly name or anything? I'm like, no. In the one episode, but so worth it, and it ends. And I have lots of theories about this episode that I'll talk about later. Something I do want to mention is, and we'll say it next, but we get the mid-credit scene. They have that Hayward's been teasing for a while, then they're going to launch this thing, ready to launch it. They used Wanda's magic that has still stayed around this missile for so long to reanimate Vision, and Hayward knew this. He's been researching this all about the blip, and he's a douche acting like, oh yeah, you guys didn't have the guts to get through it, whatever. No, but he was just playing this sentient weapon observation, more like sentient weapon making division, whatever. Anyways, I'm just upset about that. Take Vision's body, and we finally get White Vision, which is cool. I didn't think they would ever use this because it's just such an obscure concept, and the Red Vision is just so much more popular. It's so much more popular, and basically, like okay, this might be the Vision we get the rest of the MCU if we get Vision the rest of the MCU. I've heard theories that he might join up with his body and make the White Vision we get. But basically, after this episode, this leaves us on a cliffhanger. What will happen with Vision? He's already headed into this scene from the car. Darcy, Monica, Wanda, Pietro all gotta find their way together. Jimmy Woo. Something's gotta happen. The White Vision will be used as a weapon. Gotta save the kids from Agatha. I think the plot of them being fake kids and not real is not going to be a thing unless it happens at the end and she figures it out in the Multiverse of Madness. But I don't think she is the villain anymore. And we'll talk about more theories later in the theories episode. I've already talked about a little bit here, but thanks for watching. This was a great episode. I loved it. Tell me what you guys think about it below. I think I didn't rate the last one, but I think this one is like 9.8 or 9.9 out of 10. It was amazing. Really recommend. This whole series, really recommend. Cannot wait for the next one next week. The big finale, big shebang. See you later. Bye.